Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya, and you're watching Military Mind. Another heavy night for Ukraine in what is now the fourth year of the full-scale war. According to Ukrainian Air Force officials, the Russian military launched 90 Shahed drones, as well as 2 Iskander ballistic missiles at targets in Ukraine overnight. As a result of the attack in the Kharkiv region, a fire broke out on the grounds of a municipal transport facility. One of the buildings and 38 vehicles located nearby were damaged. Local officials reported 11 civilians wounded. Russian strikes were also reported in the Odessa and Donetsk regions without any casualties or heavy damage. In Zaporizhia, a fire broke out in the aftermath of the strike, but there were no casualties. The Russian Defense Ministry in turn reported that overnight, air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 27 inbound Ukrainian drones. In the western part of Russia's Kursk region, drones damaged the hospital and apartment buildings and wounded at least 1 person. In the last few days, the Ukrainian Air Force successfully targeted several factories and military facilities near Moscow. One of the strikes hit a military-industrial facility in the town of Dubna, reportedly specializing in the manufacture of drones that Russia uses in the war with Ukraine. And moving now to the Middle East. Hamas will reject a U.S. proposed plan for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip in exchange for the release of hostages. This is what BBC News has reported, citing a statement from a senior member of Hamas. And a Hamas spokesman said the proposed deal was at odds with what the group's negotiators had previously discussed with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. He noted that the proposal did not include guarantees that the temporary truce would actually lead to a permanent ceasefire, nor did it provide for a full resumption of humanitarian aid to Gaza. According to Israeli media, the deal involved the release of 10 Israeli hostages and the transfer of the bodies of 18 victims in 2 stages in exchange for a 60-day ceasefire and the release of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. On the front line, Ukrainian reconnaissance troops once again proved the effectiveness of a more modern approach to warfare. Recon UAVs of the armed forces of Ukraine detected a concentration of Russian manpower near the village of Zaliznyantske in the Donetsk region. A mission was quickly drawn up, and in the aftermath, the Russians lost significant numbers of infantry, some equipment, and suffered a considerable blow to morale. Coordination between intelligence, artillery, and drone units once again proved to be extremely effective. Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov, recently announced that Ukraine has for the first time used attack drones with built-in artificial intelligence developed as part of the Brave One defense market. Now, the innovative solution is a whole complex consisting of a so-called mother drone that deploys 2 autonomous FPV drones to the combat zone. If the target is up to 300 kilometers away, then the drone performs a one-way mission. If it's closer, up to 100 kilometers, it returns to the base for reuse. Now, the most important thing here is autonomy. AI-powered FPV drones can independently detect and engage enemy targets without direct operator intervention. Artificial intelligence analyzes the image, identifies enemy vehicles and infantry, and selects the optimal point of impact. This minimizes the risk to Ukrainian manpower and increases the effectiveness of each combat operation. The war in the Donetsk region is not just about trenches. It's also raging across a whole web of basements where the Russians hide, regroup, prepare to strike, and then disappear from sight, but not from the battlefield. Let's take a look at the realities of the everyday efforts of the Recon platoon of the 2nd Battalion of the National Guard of Ukraine's 12th Special Purpose Brigade.
Парни, смотрите, есть два варианта. Либо мы вас убиваем, либо вы сдаетесь. 10 секунд на раздумие. Либо вы сдаетесь, либо мы вас убиваем. Нас 8 человек. 5 секунд. 2 секунды. Быстрее! Граната! Есть! Зашла! Я стреляю. Подходь.
Есть, там живые.
Живий? Вилазь! Давай ще одну.
Да, давай.
Крий.
Він кидай гранату буде.
Хто, пір?
Походу.
Я быстрее. Враг, враг, враг! Я в FPV як прийняв.
And that's all for this episode of Military Mind. I'm Diana Skaya. Stay with us here on TVP World.